All right, what's going on, everyone? Oh, let me start again. All right, what's going on, everyone? It is your maybe humble, maybe not so humble, maybe lighthearted, maybe not so lighthearted Professor Dr. Jace Austin. And this week we are in week number 6. Um, you all who attended the community college panel did a fantastic job listening, and I am sorry that we could not get to all of your questions. They were wonderful, excellent, excellent questions. If you would like to ask any of our panelists any specific questions, let me know. They are all friends of mine. I still have all of their contact information, and you are more than welcome to contact them. Also, if you do reach out to them, they will not tell me. So, you can reach out to them in confidence. But having said that, gonna get into it. Today we're just gonna talk a little bit about library fines. Gonna make this kind of a light week. I'm uh I'm wanting to have something more robust for next week, but I kind of underestimated the amount of energy it would take to kind of get my panel together and then get them directed and coordinated. So now I'm like, I just did my panel Thursday and now I'm recording again on Monday. Um, did some grading this weekend and some other things, so it's kind of like, I'm just in a space. Um, but you know what? I do think that next week we can have something a little more robust. I'll make sure to set aside a hefty amount of time next weekend to talk, to do some background research, and then we'll launch into a topic that's maybe a little heavier. First, let me just make sure that we no additional questions and concerns. That's good. Um, so, that means that I guess we can just jump right into it. If you have not turned in your first assignment, let me go to the assignments here. If you have not turned in your first assignment, that first take-home test, which is really just an essay, um, you need to go ahead and do that, and you need to use APA style, and you do need to have a works cited page. So get in the habit of doing works cited pages for written assignments in graduate school unless you are prompted not to, okay? Having said that, let's do some other stuff here. Hopefully this one will be a little shorter. Hopefully this will be 20 minutes or less. So yeah, let's talk about some library fines. And every library, I think, has the freedom, every academic library, I think, has the freedom to handle fines in its own specific and spectacular way. So, I've been trying to think because I don't want to tell you anything wrong. I've been employed now with 4 different academic libraries myself. Midlands Technical College, which is a community college, and we did have library fines for all overdue materials. Coastal Carolina University did have fines for overdue books and equipment and materials. And I'm talking for students here in both cases. UMKC does have fines for students. UNC Greensboro, I cannot remember. I just honestly cannot remember. You will be fined if you lose materials, but I don't know if they have fines for late books. They certainly have fines for late equipment, but I don't know about for late books. So those are the 4 institutions that I've been to. There are some academic libraries that, well, for one thing, I found it very rare for academic libraries to have fines for faculty and staff, even when it's overdue. Well, even, I mean, ugh, that made no sense. I've run into few academic libraries who have fines for faculty and staff for overdue books. That's what I meant to say. In overdue, run-of-the-mill types of materials, books, videos, music, that sort of thing, I've not known many of them to have fines for employees. Now, when it comes to technology, that can be a different bag. And in fact, Coastal Carolina is one of many universities that actually does not allow faculty and staff to check out materials like, I shouldn't say materials. Coastal Carolina did not allow faculty and staff to check out technology. My mind is all over the place. To check out technology. The reason for that is because the technology was paid for with student technology fees. So the students were the only ones who could check those things out, and that included phone chargers, headphones, laptops, iPads, tablets, those sorts of things, cameras, camcorders, things like that. Coastal Carolina did not loan those things out to faculty and staff. And there was a limited supply, so there were always students who had them anyway. But yes, and then at UMKC, the faculty and staff, they can check out those technology items, but they are not, whereas they are exempt from fines for those technology items. They are, I am all over the place. I'm so sorry, class. Let me try this again. Woo, y'all are going to hate me this week. Okay. At UMKC, faculty and staff are exempt from fines for materials like books and music and videos and things of that nature. But when it comes to technology, faculty and staff are not exempt from fines. So if you turn in headphones or phone chargers or webcams or any of that stuff late at UMKC, even as faculty and staff, you will be fined. And that is to encourage that stuff to come back very quickly. Okay, so, and there are, libraries that run the whole gambit. There are libraries that will, charge fines for any materials overdue by faculty, staff, or students. There are libraries that do not charge any overdue fee for late materials that are not technology, if they are turned in late by students, as long as they're turned in. So you run the whole gambit, and really, in my opinion, I am going to share my opinion because I can do that as the instructor. But in my opinion, I would say that there's not a one shoe fits all feet sort of approach to this. I really do feel that a library that an academic library really needs to assess its campus environment and then determine whether or not the students are best off having to pay fines or if they are best off not having to pay fines. I know that's probably sounds kind of silly in some ways, but there are pros and cons to charging library fines, and I would say that one of the actual pros that came in at the community college was that, to be quite honest, even though it's painful to bar students' ability to use the library if they owe money, at the same time, charging them fines really did seem to help with teaching responsibility at that particular community college. But that doesn't mean it's the same at every community college, and it doesn't mean that it's that way at every academic institution. Now, I will say that there are going to be definitely times when you work, when there's a possibility of there being well, let me put it this way. I think that there is definitely a chance that you might work at an academic library and the students, there are economically disadvantaged students, there are students with all sorts of problems. And when you charge library fines for overdue materials, that you are really enforcing a barrier on these students to their access and to their academic success. And the library should be a tool for academic success, not a barrier to academic success. So there are ways to look at this. There are layers. So library fines make a difference in academic library book behavior. This is the abstract. There's no need to actually look at the entire article here. You are welcome to do that on your own time. But this is an abstract for an article that was for research conducted on library fines in Canada. And I really just want to go straight to the hypotheses and then to the outcomes, really. So we've got two colleges that are being focused on here, and one charges library fines and one does not for overdue materials. So let's see what we have going on here. So first we need to look at these hypotheses, and then we'll see if the hypotheses were reflected in the data. Now again, this is in Canada. I would love to see this type of a study replicated. If it hasn't already been, it may have already been. But I would like to see this type of a study replicated in the United States. Hypothesis 1, there is no difference in return rates before due dates among the UHM patron groups because the fine policy is the same for all patron groups. So let's scroll down and see our main results here. The findings did not support hypotheses 1 or 2. So for hypotheses 1, in which library fines were the same for undergraduates, graduate students, and faculty, return rates increased with academic level and faculty groups. The rates were 90, 93, and 95% respectively. Okay. Hypothesis number 2, before 2006, the EIU undergraduate students' return rates before due dates should be the highest among the 3 EIU groups, and that's undergraduates, graduates, and faculty, because this was the only group which had overdue fines. There should be no difference in the return dates before due dates between EIU faculty and EIU graduate students. Both groups had no overdue fines. And again, we're scrolling back down. We're scrolling back down, and as we saw earlier, the findings did not support hypothesis 2. For hypothesis 2, the return rate was 88% for undergraduates, 92% for graduates, and 80% for faculty. So the faculty is slipping. The group difference was small, but still statistically significant. The graduate students who were not fined had significantly higher return rates before due dates than undergraduates who incurred fines. Graduate students had higher return rates than faculty, though both groups had no fines. So if you want to have a discussion around this, what could be going on here, there could be several things that are contributing to this. I would say that graduate students a lot of times are just older and more responsible than undergraduate students, and that may be a consideration. But then there's also probably a larger, population, a larger sample population with the undergrads. Most schools, not all for certain, but most schools I think do have larger numbers of undergraduates than graduate students. There's a business to that. Undergraduate students bring in money. Graduate students a lot of times cost money. So there you have it. Hypothesis number 3, EIU graduate students' return rates before due dates was lower for 2002 to 2006 than 2007 to 2011. The hypothesis, and this, again, this is a hypothesis. This hypothesis tests the impact of change in the fine policy, and this hypothesis tests the change of the, God, dog. We're going to get through this, guys. The hypothesis tests the impact of a change in fine policy that the library implemented in the fall of 2006. Okay. Data did not support hypotheses 3 or 4. So for hypothesis 3, no significant change occurred in the return rates before and after imposing fines. So that flies directly in the face of what I was saying as far as teaching responsibility to the students at the community college, but I still believe that it's probably, again, a case-by-case basis, and it may vary from institution to institution. Hypothesis number 4, UHM undergraduate students' return rates before due dates is higher than the EIU undergraduate students because there is a significant grace period for UHM undergraduates. EIU undergraduate students have, because there is no grace, I'm butchering things today. We're going to reread this again. Hypothesis 4, UHM undergraduate students' return rates before due dates is higher than that of EIU undergraduate students because there is no grace period for UHM undergraduates. EIU undergraduate students have a 10-day grace period. Again, the data does not support that. So for hypothesis number 4, the return rates of undergraduate students at the university within the grace period showed no statistically significant difference in return rates from those undergrads with no grace period. Okay. Finally, the one thing where we do have significant difference, UHM faculty's return rates before due dates is higher than that of EIU faculty. UHM faculty incur overdue fines, but EIU faculty encounter no such penalty. Okay. Gotta watch that faculty. Watch them faculty members. The findings supported hypothesis 5. The return rates indicated a statistically significant difference between faculty with fines for overdue books and those with no fines. And yes, you gotta have a, for my dissertation research, I did have to have my p-values be 0.01 or less. And so this p-value of 0.044 is too high. So we can get into what p-values mean in your research methods class, but just know that yes, that's a value for statistical, it's a variable for statistical significance. And if you have something that's 0.4, that's way too high. You want something that's less than 0.01. And if you can get to the 0.001, that is even better. So for those hypotheses for which the differences were not significant, the authors cite other variables, including reminders, grace periods, maturity of the borrower, withholding of privileges, fees, and lost book charges that may contribute to return rates. So this abstract does include the conclusion, and that's another reason why I wanted to include this one. In answer to the main research question, the authors conclude that fines indeed make a difference in patron book return conduct. However, they also note that fines can mar the reputation of the library, creating a barrier to access, and that courtesy notices and overdue notices are also effective ways to ensure timely returns of materials. All right. Now I've already hit about 20 minutes, and I know I said I was going to keep it under 20 minutes. I lied, but we will definitely keep it under 25 minutes. I would love it if I may even make a new discussion board prompt where I ask you guys to tell me whether or not you think fines are appropriate for your academic library or your ideal academic library, and then explain why. Most of what you're going to see about library fines actually in the literature is actually coming from public libraries. So you do have to kind of wade through a little bit in order to get to your academic library stuff. But there are, I do want to make you all aware of this article. It might be a good one for you all to read on your own time, and it is only 2 years old, so it's fairly new. Doing away with fines, a consummation devoutly to be wished. This is available on the free web, so if you just Google that title in American libraries, you will probably have this article come up. Some good information is in here. Let's see. This is what I want right here. There was a follow-up study to, there was a study done earlier than this newer study that found that 76 it was a study of 76 large academic libraries, and they found that 75% were charging fines. However, these were not all overdue fines, and so that's the devil in the detail. So when we are distinguishing between overdue and other types of fines, in a follow-up study in 2016, it was found that only 66% of libraries surveyed were charging fees for books returned past their due dates. Okay. Now, again, Dr. Jace is not always right about everything. I have opinions, but my opinions do need to be based in fact when possible. But my opinions right now are actually they're against a lot of the academic literature, and so that just needs to be brought out, is that if you are looking at the actual numbers that people have arrived at, they sort of contradict my belief that charging fines can be useful in teaching responsibility. So this is something I want to point out here. So although 74% of the libraries assessing fines felt that the penalty was useful for getting materials back and on time, teaching students responsibility, and providing a revenue stream, the results from libraries without fines contradicted those opinions. And I would say that even though I advance it as a method of possibly teaching students responsibility, I could never advance library fines as some way in which we have a real revenue stream. If you want a real steady revenue stream, I would say that printing, for one thing, is an avenue to get that. And a lot of libraries, they don't advertise this, but they do have a little revenue stream come in through the printing. When you are charging students 5 cents per page to print or 10 cents per page to print, it does bring in a little bit of revenue into the library. Not a whole heck of a lot, but you'd be surprised in some situations how much it can actually be. But I would never want to rely on library fines as my revenue stream. It just doesn't seem stable to me. Now, again, if you want to read this article, you can find it through Google. You can find it on the free web. I did, though, just want to, before I close out, read these last 2 paragraphs. The bottom line for these libraries is that goodwill and positive customer service far outweigh the loss of any income. People seem more willing to pay for lost books when they are not subject to overdue fines. So that's a thing. You certainly do want your lost books paid for. And if people are coming in to do that and not worrying about the overdue fines, then so be it. Crystal Boyce, sciences librarian at Illinois Wesleyan University in Bloomington, described how the Earl Gregg Swim Library at the College of William and Mary in Virginia shifted from a library-centered approach toward fines to a student-centered approach that eliminated them. In implementing a new fine policy, clarify your message on social media through the integrated library system and via staff members. Communicate the new policy to users through mass emails and signage. Choose a clean start date, such as the beginning of the semester, and use data to assess the efficacy of the new policies. Now, I am at 25 minutes, but I do want to say really quick, another thing that you can do is you can have library fines on the table as an option, but you can also make sure, well, I shouldn't say make sure, but you can also write into library policy that people can owe a little bit of money to the library and still have some access to library resources. So you could say that, for instance, if you owe less than $5, you can still check out books, you can still get on the databases, yada, 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 yakety smackety. But once you hit that $5 mark, then your privileges are denied. And that way you don't have this situation where somebody is losing their ability to use the library at all because they owe 10 cents on something. And you never want people in that type of a situation. So that might be my preference, and that would work for technology fines too. So a lot of times I see that technology fines are more expensive than your book fines. So technology, a phone charger may be $1 a day as opposed to 5 cents a day for a book. You know what I'm saying? So if you got a situation like that set up, then you can still, someone could, for instance, have a phone charger returned a day late and they could owe $1 and they would still be under a $5 threshold and would still be able to do what they needed to do, because when people owe $1, is it really that crucial to bar them from use of the library? I just do not believe so. Okay. So those are some options that you have. But yeah, I'm definitely not, it seems like a lot of librarians are going hardcore one way or the other with this. Like either any library should feel the need to assess fines if they want, or no library should ever do it. And I am very much somebody who believes that it is a case-by-case basis. Know your student body, know the types of students you serve, and then know the best way to serve them. But you are welcome to disagree with Dr. Jace, and I think I might create a discussion board prompt to see if you disagree with Dr. Jace, and it is perfectly fine to. I don't have all the right answers. So let's get into it. I am going to stop it right here. We are still under 30 minutes, so I've blessed y'all at least a little bit. And I hope you have a fantastic week. If you haven't turned in your first assignment, you need to get in contact with me very soon. Have a good week.